Hey, and welcome to Let Jamie Talk. I am Jamie, and here with my co-host, Ben. What is up, my man?
Oh, not much. I just love the sound of your voice.
Do you love it?
I do.
I was making fun of myself because I keep clearing my throat this morning.
We're 30 minutes in here to to pre-warm up, and you're still clearing your throat.
Yeah, I'm so glad nobody had to listen to the 30 minutes, prior to this very moment, because I've been clearing my throat like a maniac.
I don't think it helped any.
In case you don't know, it's not helping, and I think I could clear my throat 100 more times, and it still wouldn't help. I don't know what's wrong with me. I think I'm going to go to the doctor, though.
The vocal doctor.
If I can find one. I have already been to the doctor, as you suggested. They told me to take Claritin, and what is the other one that starts with an A? It's like Allegra. Okay. So Allegra. I'm taking Allegra now, every day.
For allergies.
I can't tell it's helping at all.
I don't know. It's allergies.
I don't know, dude. I cannot figure this out, but it's driving me nuts. So
I feel like you have this problem when there's no pollen. So.
I'm gonna just throw this out. My plea to anybody listening that knows something about this, that I'm always trying to clear my throat. I always have a tickle in my throat, and I can't get rid of it. What is it?
If we have any good throat doctors out there.
It's driving me nuts. And my wife has the same thing too.
Yep. We'll fly Jamie out to your office.
You should hear both of us sitting around clearing our throats. I'm like, honey, you got something to say? And then she's like, we're both sitting there clearing our throats. And then just to be funny, I say, honey, clear your throat again while I'm trying to clear my throat. Stop, please. Don't do that. No, it's just funny. But, I'm drinking my tea, hoping that'll help. All right. So that's probably not helping.
It's not.
And I will say this morning, though. All right. My wife got this mushroom coffee.
Okay.
It's a brand I never heard of.
Okay.
And I drank one. It's like a K-cup.
Maybe that's what did it.
I don't know what's in that stuff.
It's a K-cup? You drink out of a Keurig?
It was a K-cup mushroom coffee.
What if your Keurig is dirty? Maybe that's just what's doing it.
I bet it is dirty.
Have you looked in the back of those things before?
Well, I haven't washed it, but I bet it is. Well, let me tell you something about our water, and this is home related. So we'll get kicking off with house related stuff.
Oh, and city water.
Yeah. Okay, I have a well at my house. So,
oh no. Okay.
Okay. No, we'll talk about city too, because all right, we drilled a hole in the ground 500 feet deep. Mm-hmm. That's where my water comes from, straight out the ground, straight out of the ground. I think you knew what I meant.
Yeah, I got you.
It comes down a pipe through the ground, into my house, into my pressure tank, and then through a little filter.
Right.
It's called a sediment filter, right? Mm-hmm. So it's supposed to take out dirt and, fine pieces of rock and silt and stuff like that. But that's it. All right. Now, my filter gets stopped up with this weird looking black, dark, greenish, blackish, slimy stuff. Okay. It does. And I have to change it. And also at the faucet, there's a little screen in the faucet. It's like an aerator or something. It's supposed to make the water look all pretty when it comes out instead of just solid with no air in it. I don't know why that's there, honestly. Why is it? What is the aerator for?
On the faucet?
Yeah. The little screen.
Oh.
The little screen that's you can unscrew it.
Well, I will tell you that ours fell off of our faucet, and the pressure comes out so much higher it splatters water everywhere. You can't. So I think it helps with that. It does.
Okay.
It helps. I think it helps disperse the water, at least slow it down enough where it's just a little bit more.
It adds air to the flow to make it stream.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brett says it adds air to the flow to make it stream.
Well, that's what an aerator does. Yes.
Excuse me so much. I have to clear my throat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So there's a point behind this.
Okay.
Because you probably thought there wasn't. All right.
I just know I wish I had my aerator back.
Well, you can get a new aerator.
I know I could, but
just buy a new faucet.
You know how expensive kitchen faucets are, man?
Well, I don't know, but some of them are really expensive. People I build for buy expensive ones, I guess. I buy cheap ones. All right, so the screen, it's usually 2 or 3 little screens stacked together. Have you ever taken one apart to clean them?
All the time.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you take them apart, it's 2 or 3 little tiny screens stacked together. And mine get stopped up with the little dark green, black, slimy stuff.
Are you sure you're not
okay.
Did you hit an oil well?
I don't know.
You got a bubbling curd coming out of you?
I wish I did. I'd be rich if I struck oil. Okay, so yeah, that's a problem in my house, and maybe it can be treated. But I don't know what the stuff is. So in the past, I've taken a water sample to the city or the environmental health people.
No.
Who
The water
is it?
at the water plant to do the water testing?
Somebody I took a sample of my water out of the faucet to for them to analyze it.
At Deep Creek.
No, the health department.
Oh.
The health department.
Oh,
There we go.
okay.
Okay.
Oh,
There we go.
Gotcha.
The health department analyzed my water and said it's fine. Okay. That's not a really detailed report, I know, but somebody else that I talked to said it may be bacteria.
Okay.
I don't know, but I guess you can get like a UV light filter.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe I'm going to get one. I've been saying maybe I'm going to get one for like 5 years now.
I think that's what it is.
Still don't have one.
It's either that or the Keurig.
Okay. It also leaves like a ring around the toilet.
Mmm.
All right.
What color is the ring?
Same color. Ring around the rosy, whatever that is. And so actually Brett has pulled up what it might be.
Oh.
Okay.
There you go.
He thinks he knows what if he knows what it is, I'm all
Let's
ears.
see. I needed one more computer here. So.
See, yeah, bring that over there.
The black slime in your well water is most likely a result of oxidized manganese and bacteria that feed on it. These bacteria, including iron bacteria, create a slimy residue as they metabolize iron and manganese.
Manganese or manganese?
Manganese.
Manganese?
Manganese. Somebody's going to correct us. In the water. While not typically harmful, it can cause aesthetic issues and potentially contribute to water quality problems.
So it's no big deal, but it's a water quality problem. Can it make your throat? See, I can't even say it.
Whether it accumulates in the faucet aerator, around the tub drain, inside the toilet tank, or even inside your tea kettle, black slime is usually due to bacteria that feed on oxidized iron and manganese.
So I'm drinking manganese bacteria tea.
Yep. Oh, I also found out that we said Berkshire.
Berkshire?
Wrong.
Really?
It's not Berkshire.
Well, they
Berkshire.
spelled it wrong.
It's Berkshire.
I mean, I did take 4 years of language. I can still barely speak English, but Berkshire,
I think. I have to
like
look
a
back.
dog, bark.
You were looking at comments. It's in the comments. You'll see
Okay,
it.
I
Not
did
right now,
actually read
but-
that. I actually read that.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. We don't know much about it. All right. So what I was going to say is that we got these like little Clorox or something, little tablets you put in the tank of the toilet.
Oh, did it turn your water blue? You have the blue water?
It's not blue, but
Oh, man.
Well, see, what my wife was worried because we have cats, and what if the cat tries to drink out of the toilet, and then
Gotcha.
it's this chemical water? But I think a toilet's a good place to put some chemicals in your toilet tank. It
Yeah.
seems like
Okay.
of all places in your water system to drop some Clorox, that seems like a good place. Although,
Your cats drink out of your toilet?
no, they don't. I've never seen a cat drink out of the toilet.
Yeah.
I don't know what she's worried about, but at any rate, my cats are still alive and doing well. They say that those chemical tablets actually deteriorate the parts of your toilet that the little rubber flap.
Yeah.
And actually now I'm experiencing a toilet that won't like refill. You flush the toilet and then it won't refill. You don't hear that water running, as it fills the tank again. So then you got to take the lid off and jiggle the little thing.
You know you can rebuild those.
I'm gonna get a whole brand new toilet. I think I'm just gonna buy a whole stupid new thing because I can't deal with it anymore. Okay. And actually, Jason gave me one the other day.
He gave you a new toilet.
It's a new toilet. Well, he says it's new. Jason, thank you for the toilet. I'm gonna install it in my house. Here's what happened. He's building his little tiny Four Seasons room on his YouTube channel. Build It Jay's Way. And he bought a toilet. What? There's no toilet out there. What in the world? Let me think. Well, he is building that building.
Maybe that's why he gave it away.
Anyway, he has sponsors, right?
Okay.
He was remodeling his bathroom previously, and a sponsor company gave him a toilet, a fancy toilet.
Like one of these UV filter
It does
bidet
all
toilets.
kinds of crazy stuff. It plays music. It has a heater and a light show. I'm joking, but actually I think it does have all those things. All right. So I got his other toilet that he had already bought and he couldn't return it.
Gotcha.
And why couldn't he return it? I don't know.
I'm
Hopefully
sure
he didn't
get it.
use
I
it.
think you got his old toilet.
Well, whether I did or didn't, it's okay. I'm going to use it. I'm in need of a new toilet.
Is it a round bowl or an
It's
elongated?
elongated.
I mean, if you buy a used house, do you change the toilet?
No. Who cares if somebody's used the toilet? You go into a public restroom and
Yeah. Brett just asked if you buy a used house, do you change used or new? Used
house.
If you buy a used house, which I don't know that that's what they're called, but if you buy a used house, do you change the toilets?
I don't, but I bet there are people that are.
I bet you there are.
I bet there, and not because the toilets necessarily look bad. At least the seats. You know, I mean, if you
changed
think
one of
about
mine.
it,
I didn't change the other one.
I don't know. I don't have a problem with using a toilet somebody's used before, but
So you're a big public toilet guy.
well, that might be
Like
true.
Yeah.
I was going to say a stretch, but that might be true. Let me tell you a short story about a toilet that I encountered 2 weeks ago. And remember, we talked about Chattanooga when I was on vacation. So there was an indoor swimming pool at the hotel, and there was a little bathroom right, within the pool area. Okay, you go in there, and you don't know when the toilet's going to flush anymore in public, right? Because they have the automatic laser readers. I made that up. You get up from the toilet or you move away from the toilet and that thing flushes.
Yeah. And you're like, I was just grabbing toilet paper.
Dude, this thing was 110 decibels. I'm telling you what, it was so loud, and it was in a fully tiled room that was like 10 by 10. And it was so loud it hurt my ears. And my daughter, she's kind of sensitive to super loud sounds.
Okay.
Like she just doesn't like really loud stuff, right? She don't want to be around a lawnmower or too loud of a music or a chainsaw or a loud vehicle. Like she'll get scared if somebody rides by in a super loud motorcycle or a car.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've had that happen with one that's like way too loud. At any rate, so she had to go to the bathroom. She's 5 years old, whatever, and there's other people around. So I take her to the bathroom, and that thing flushes, and she like starts crying, like scared her. I mean, this is a scary toilet. It is.
Wow.
There you go. All right, back to my toilet. Okay, I think now you can weigh in on this. Do people with city water ever have this mold?
Yeah.
Or a bacteria manganese problem?
I
What?
think so. Yeah.
You're kidding. Because I always thought, it's because I have a well. And man, if I had city water, there's maybe just a little tiny bit of chlorine in it, right? And it would not allow the bacteria to grow.
Right. No.
That's my thought.
It can still happen.
Okay, Brett. Brett needs to look up how to fix it.
I did already. I sent you an email.
Brett already looked up how to fix it and sent me an email. And
You
it's
sent it to me?
it's in my
No, I sent it. I sent it to Jim.
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
in
I
my
sent it for him personally, not
All right.
necessarily.
All right. To talk about. Well, anyway,
I don't
any
know.
folks worried about fixing this, I guess
I don't know if we'll get to the bottom.
look
of
at
this.
Jamie's email.
Yeah, I'll give out my email and my password so y'all can read it and give me
Or if anybody has suggestions, please.
yeah, suggestions would be awesome because this is an ongoing problem that needs to be resolved, and I've been lazy about searching out the answer and getting it fixed.
Just so you know, one of the ways to do it is to shock chlorinate like a pool.
Okay.
Ooh.
Brett said you can shock it like a pool.
Like as well?
I guess you can dump. Well, okay. If you ever have to work on your well, let's say you got to pull the pump up or anything, they pour a gallon of Clorox down there because, like, they're touching with their hands the stuff that goes back in there.
Yeah.
And so, what if they have bacteria on their hands or dirty something? Who knows? Any kind of contaminant. They dump it. They say, look, don't drink the water for 24 hours or at least till you've taken a few showers, and you can smell the.
But how do they know how much water's in there?
Well, they can actually figure it out. You want to know?
I mean, no, I'm just saying they know. I'm just saying, do they,
They don't.
pour
They
the
don't
appropriate amount of Clorox in there for
they
the amount
pour
of
a
water that's
gallon
in there?
No, it's a blanket size. One gallon fits all wells.
Gotcha.
They've done that actually to my well several times because I did some bad things to my well and had to have it worked on.
Maybe this is the problem.
Wait. What bad things did you do to
All right, Brett wants to know what bad things I did to my well. All right. Well, I'll have to tell you the story because this is what happened.
Okay.
One very cold winter when it was like around the 0 degree Fahrenheit mark,
I like how you
Right.
I like how you classify
I
that.
have to. It was very cold, colder than average, and I thought, man, my well might freeze. And for people that don't know, the top of the well is a pipe that comes out of the ground like maybe 1 or 2 feet, and that pipe it has water in it, right? And then it goes back into the ground. It comes out of the top of that pipe that is your well, and then it goes down into the ground through a small piece of PVC that is your supply to your house. And that's an exposed piece of pipe. So you have like a cover on it. Usually it's like a fake rock. You've seen them, right?
Yeah.
It's like a 3 foot by 3 foot odd shape. Somebody tried to make a thing that out of fiberglass that looks like a fake rock.
Right. Nobody will notice this.
You know, yeah, they come in all different shapes and sizes, and they have spray foam insulation on the inside of it, right, to keep your well warm or to maintain or retain the heat from the ground, and hopefully not have it freeze. Well, it was so cold. I mean, people do extra measures, you know, to keep them warm, like put insulation, like fiberglass, you know, wrap it around, put a trash bag on it.
Rat's nest.
You know, they're always nasty. This is dreadful to check the well because it's always got fiberglass and nasty stuff. There's always mice and like insects and spiders, and it's always terrible. Should I go on?
I mean,
You believe me? You know it is. And so this one night I was like, dude, I bet my well is going to freeze. I'm going to do something brilliant. Oh, wait, I got to tell you this too. Instead of just having the rock on mine, I had built this surround out of like landscaping blocks. And I had built like a 4x4 posted roof thing. It was super cute to make it look like an old well with like a bucket and a rope and, you know, a crank up looking thing.
Yeah.
I don't know why I went all through the effort to make it look cute and have a little roof on it, but it was pretty cool.
okay.
It was very neat.
Yeah.
For no reason. Okay. Now,
At least it didn't take any time.
I thought I need to put a little heater out there. Well, I don't have a little heater, but I have a little shop light. The aluminum. It looks like a aluminum bowl looking thing with a light bulb. Very simple. And I thought I've got a 100-watt light bulb. That's going to make some heat.
You're going to keep your
I
baby...
think you probably know where this is going.
Keep your baby chicks warm.
That's right. So I ran the extension cord out there. I put the light right close to the well. I turned it on and I wrapped it in blankets because that's going to keep it warm. And then I covered it all back up. And I thought, I'm a genius. This is brilliant. All right. So the next morning I get up kind of early. I'm still kind of like rubbing my eyes. It's foggy outside for some reason, super cold, but foggy. I open the front door to check on my well because I can see it from my front door. Like it's probably 100 feet away, maybe not even that much. So I look out there and it's foggy, but I'm like, is that smoke? I like couldn't even tell. Like it was like a weird dream or something. I was looking out there. So I was like, what is that? I was like, where's my roof? My roof is gone. I was like, what? My roof is gone. Where did it go? I cannot figure this out. Like I just woke up, rolled out of bed. So I'm still like, and if you don't know, I have wacky dreams every night. So I'm still like halfway between dreamland and reality. It takes me a while to get it sorted out.
That's a side effect from the manganese.
Okay. I'm ingesting an unhealthy amount, I guess. All right. So, in disbelief, I walk out there and all that's left of my well thing is a smoking hole in the ground, a 6-inch round hole, smoke coming out of it. It smells terrible because it's burning PVC pipe, and no more roof. It's gone. And my well cover thing and my blankets and the light is gone. I mean, it literally melted. It burnt. It all caught on fire overnight. It burned itself all up.
So it's like a small bonfire
Yeah.
in the middle of the night.
Overnight party out there at my place. And so what does the guy do? Of course, if you don't know, also the well pump at the bottom of the well, mine's 500 feet, the drilling.
Yeah.
And they suspend the pump by about 20 feet from the bottom. That allows for sediment to accumulate over time at the bottom. And it won't, get into your pump and suck that up into your house. Well, golly. Since the top had burned and that's where it hangs from the top and that all burned and the thing dropped and went down to the bottom, 20 feet approximately.
Yeah.
So the top of the well pipe and the wire and all that, it dropped 20 feet down in the smoking hole.
Okay.
Into
the sediment.
And all down in there. Yeah, I'm sure it was nasty. So
red clay.
So we don't have water, but I did celebrate.
Okay.
You know why? Take a guess why I celebrated. I achieved my goal.
You achieved your goal.
The well did not freeze. I said, well, it didn't freeze.
What would have been more cost effective? Fixing a frozen well or fixing a burnt well?
Actually, I gotta retrace my steps here. The first thing I did in the morning wasn't look outside. I went in the kitchen and I turned on the water and nothing happened.
You're like,
and that's why I looked
no
outside.
manganese.
I was like, dang, it froze still. It still froze after all that. It still froze. That's what I thought. And then I went out and then saw the hole and all that. All right, so I had to call the well guy. We were able to actually drop a rope down in there because I had a spigot on top of the well pipe that stuck out the top. So there was a metal spigot handle on the very top of the pipe.
So you're able to...
And he had a camera, a little wire camera thing with a light on it. So we literally dropped a wire down there and lassoed the end of that handle on the spigot. We got lucky. Because what if I couldn't get it out? You drill a new well. I was nervous, thinking, what do we get? What if I
Was your wife happy?
She was not impressed. But
how many times a day does Jamie shake her head?
Oh, yeah. Brett just asked how many times a day Jamie's wife, Jamie, shakes her head.
About stuff that I do?
Yeah.
I mean,
probably all day. She probably doesn't stop. Sometimes
I'm your business partner and I shake my head a lot.
I know Brett shakes his head a lot at me too. My wife does roll her eyes at me a lot when I say things. All right, so that's what happened. I got lucky. They pulled it back up. They put a new piece of pipe in the top of the well, fixed it all back. It cost about $1,000. It took like all day.
I didn't know this.
Yeah.
I learned something.
And it worked. They hooked it back up and it still worked for a long time. And then my well pump did quit later, actually. Again.
Gotcha.
So the whole point is that my well pump has been handled and mishandled, and also after that taken out and put back in, and taken out and put back in again. My well, it's like the transmission on my Dodge truck. The amount of maintenance that my well is taking.
Well, that's a Dodge for you, right?
Well, I love it though, but actually later today I'm taking it back to the shop.
You just got it back.
I did, man. They fixed all kinds of stuff, and now it turns out my steering box is so loose that you can't even corral this thing down the road. It's like, you know what Dollywood? Have you been to Dollywood?
I have, yeah.
In Tennessee, the
I don't think you have to clarify where it's
okay.
at.
Well, a lot of people may not know what Dollywood is.
I'm pretty sure
a theme
the whole...
park.
Okay.
All right. You know the old timey cars for the kids to get in, and it has like a metal rail in the middle, and it's got a steering wheel, so the kids think they can steer.
Oh yeah.
But it just goes straight till it hits the rail.
It's on the track, yeah.
And then it kind of bangs around. That's like driving my truck. It's the same. It's the same, dude.
You got you got lane bumpers for your truck to bounce off of there.
I need that. See, my car's newer, my Honda Accord, and it will do that for you. When you get close to the line, it beeps and flashes, and steering wheel moves.
My car turns off, and I hate it.
Does it?
Yes.
That doesn't seem safe.
Yeah. At a stoplight.
Oh yeah. What saves fuel or something?
I don't feel like it does.
Well, I don't like it because, I mean, it might save fuel and it might save like carbon emissions or something.
Because what's really like when I get to the house, I'm gonna put it in park.
Yeah.
It turns off. Well, then
It's
when I
already
go,
off.
or whatever, I put the brake on before I put it in park. It turns off.
Can you deactivate
And then
it?
I put it in park before I turn it off, and it turns back on, and then I turn it off.
So
I'm like, how is this good?
It turns on again just to put it in park.
Yeah.
You can't push a button and make it not do that.
I can turn. Mine does have a functionality where you can turn off the auto start stop if you remember. It's on the left side of the steering wheel.
Well, that's a pain to push
over
the
here.
button
Every time you start the car, you have to turn it off. Yep.
What about sport mode? You got sport mode?
I do.
Does it?
Ooh, I don't know. I've never
You
tried
should
that.
test. Okay, I'm gonna tell you this why.
Because if I put the car in sport mode, it may not do that.
It might not. Okay, so my car doesn't have this thing.
Okay.
The auto stop thing doesn't have it. My wife's car does. It's a 23 Honda Pilot, and it has the what do you call it? Cylinder
That's what Brett said.
auto shut off at a stoplight. We'll call it. All right. Well, if you put it in sport mode, it won't do that. And I don't know why you wouldn't use sport mode.
Sure.
Because it's more fun.
Well, I've only used tow haul.
Oh, dude, sport mode's way better than tow haul.
I mean, I think I'm on normal.
It's kind of the same thing, though, but it is more
I'll
fun.
try it. I'll do it today.
Give that a try. And I don't like that if I need an emergency acceleration from a stop. Like if you're at a stoplight and somebody's going to hit you and you need to take off.
Right.
Well, you got to wait for your car to start again.
I know.
It does it fast. I know that, but
No, it doesn't. Not fast enough.
not fast enough. That's
Not
what
the
I'm
same.
saying.
It's not the same.
Not fast enough.
You can't.
Oh, man.
Brad just looked it up. He said it's not going to work.
I would still try it.
I mean, you can try it.
You just have to turn it off. So, I mean, I do appreciate that I have the option to turn it off. It's just I forget.
Well, that is nice. You could probably get it hard deleted by somebody that's a computer genius.
It probably void the warranty though.
Warranty. Yeah, probably.
Because I still have.
You
quite
better
a few
keep your
years.
warranty. You better keep that warranty.
Well, I opted for the extended warranty
Oh, wow.
because I was like, man, I don't know about these new cars with all this technology.
I know. What year is that?
It's a 21.
21. Is it it's not a Tahoe. It's a Suburban or a Yukon.
Yeah, a Yukon.
Sorry, I don't know.
Yukon XL.
I can never figure out the difference in Chevy and GMC and all that.
Well, GMC is a God-made Chevrolet, is what they say.
Is that what it stands for?
Yeah, that's what they say.
Oh, so it's supposed to be better.
I mean,
whatever. GMC, Chevy. I drive a Chevy.
It's a premium brand.
It's the premium brand of Chevrolet. Okay, I get it. Then you got Cadillac. They got a couple of levels.
they do. Like most
My
brands.
Chevy truck is having some issues. The window.
That's because you keep pulling that dump trailer with it.
Well, I'm reaming out my truck on the daily right now. I got to say this though, for Top Shelf trailers, we're doing some ads for Top Shelf trailer, and I have a Top Shelf dump trailer, and I love it.
I feel like you need a top shelf 2500 pickup.
I need now.
Or 35.
Things are out of proportion. My trailer. Get this, dude. All right. Not only is the trailer way more awesome than my truck, it's more expensive than my truck by a lot. So things are backwards when your trailer costs more than your truck. But I mean that in a good way and in a bad way because my truck is terrible. But I also love it because it's heavy duty and I can tow a big heavy trailer and it's fine.
Yeah.
But it's all the other things like the AC and the windshield wipers and the window doesn't go up and down. The driver window is driving me crazy because it'll roll down a third of the way and stop, and then it won't. It's non-responsive.
Oh, it's like the child windows in the back.
It just has a mind of its own. It's frustrating. And this, you want to know something that really drives me nuts? You didn't ask, but
Yeah, I would love to.
I have a 3-door truck. Okay.
Right.
It's a 2000 model Chevy. I guess it's a crew cab or a 4-door, but it's a 3-door. And the door, the driver's side, there's only the driver door.
Oh, the back one doesn't half open.
And yeah, there's a cab area behind the driver's seat. It doesn't open. You have to open the driver door.
That's weird.
Lean the seat forward and try to slide it forward to reach anything that's in that space behind the driver's seat, which I keep all kinds of stuff there. I keep my code book there. I keep my laser level there. I keep my briefcase, with all my checkbook stuff. I keep all my sweatshirts and hats and jackets. Anything that's not a tool.
I'm glad you told everybody where you keep your checkbook.
Yeah, I know. So, I was at Lowe's the other day and I was like, all right, I need to lock the truck. Well, guess what? The window wouldn't roll up. I was like, now I got everything in my truck. I got all kinds of tools. And so anyway, I just slammed the door really hard with my fist and it started working again.
That's it. There you go. It sounds really frustrating. But
It is.
You bought the truck, right?
Well, I did. It gets worse. Can I tell you what's worse?
Did you know it had 3 doors when you bought it?
Yeah, I did. Oh, well, the thing that's really frustrating is, the lever that you tilt the seat back forward with to access the back. You pull the lever, nothing happens. You have to actually grab the seat and tilt it forward. Okay, normally, you would expect to pull the lever and the thing just goes forward and the seat slides. It all happens automatically. So when I need to get back there, usually it's because I need to put something back there. So I have something in my hand, say my briefcase. I open the door of the truck. I pull the lever. I'm holding the briefcase with one hand. I'm pulling the lever with the other hand, and the seat doesn't move. So then I have to put the thing down.
Oh, just use your teeth.
And then move it, and then it's just a real pain. Okay, so then I go to put it back. All right, so I slam the seat back. Well, it doesn't go back where it was. It goes back to the fully upright position, straight up, and it may be even leaning forward. All right, so then you pull the lever again. You push the seat back approximately where. Oh, sorry. I think I just spit across the table on you there.
I caught it.
It'll be okay. We'll wipe that off later. You put the seat back about where you want it, you think, right? Because you can't really tell because you got so much junk back there. It's like forced against the stuff in the back.
Okay.
All right. So then you get in, you start the truck, you start driving, you realize, oh, the seat is not adjusted properly. All right. You need to adjust the leaning back part of the seat. And so you reach down to grab the lever. But guess what? You can't reach the lever because the little pocket in the door sticks out and there's a crack about a 1/2 inch wide where you could maybe shove your hand down in there and find that little lever. Although for me, my left hand is a problem when doing that because I wear the device, right? I have the prosthetic on my left hand. And so this thing is awesome, but I can't shove my hand in a tiny little crevice and feel what it is and find it and pull the lever. This is just part of my daily frustration. This happens to me every day.
We need a GoFundMe.
No, you don't.
No, we don't need we don't need a GoFundMe to get me a truck. No. We just need to eventually.
You may need to, Jamie, go find you a new truck. That's what we need.
What I think is that eventually I'll blow up this Chevy because
what if you don't?
Dude, I drive it like I stole it. I mean, I do. And
sport mode.
Yeah, I think I'll blow it up.
Add an extension onto the handle.
And then Brett says put an extension on the handle. I need like a shifter sticking up on. No, I don't know. If it blows up, then I'll drive my other truck to work, and that'll become my work truck.
Yeah,
that was my plan previously, but
it may not be the worst backseat setup. You remember the smaller trucks? Maybe it was a Tacoma or something. Brett probably knows, but they had this little jump seat that folded down from the side, and you had to sit sideways.
Nissan's had them too.
It's just like that was like I don't even know how that was like.
You sit sideways. I think they still had seatbelts though, so you're good.
I know, but still, it was just like this little tiny thing that folded down.
When I was a kid, I rode in the back of a Nissan like that.
Yeah.
My stepdad, Bob.
He tight quarters.
Yeah. Well, he had speakers back there too.
Right.
They were, 6x9s. I don't know.
I like how you know
it's pretty awesome.
You know the dimensions.
They were that size, at least the box was. They were probably better than normal speakers. He's an audio freak. Maybe that's partly where I inherited that too. Man. Well,
I wanted to talk today a little bit about employment.
Okay.
Not that I'm looking for a job.
All right, good.
But, I think there's a lot of fans out there, fan questions, you get a lot of intern requests through your email. I think we just dive into that a little bit about how someone either starts their own contracting company, which I think we've asked this question before, but it was just one of those.
It was not fully answered.
Or before that, like if they were looking to be part of the Perkins Builder Brothers crew or a crew like that, what makes them a good candidate? For such a position. So
that's a great question that we can never fully answer, and we're going to take our best stab at it though.
Okay.
Because I think this is a great topic.
Yeah.
And you said, we get a lot of emails about this. And I don't I don't get all those emails. They go somewhere and somebody reads them and finds out which ones go where. They get filtered through a couple of different people. And that's good because we get more than one person could handle. There was a point in time when Eric realized that we needed help on a manager end of Perkins Builder Brothers because he was trying to handle all the emails.
It's a lot.
It took him all day, every day. He was like, I can't do any work because all I do is answer emails. And so we progressed and we have some help now. Well,
so I would like to, we can start one of two places.
Okay. What do you got?
Well, that's it. We can either start with talking about, how someone would become part of being like part of a crew like the Perkins Builder Brothers.
Yeah.
Or do we start talking about how to become a contractor?
Let's not do the contractor thing yet because I think there's probably more interest in getting involved first. Because I think becoming a contractor would be the completion of the first part of becoming a carpenter and learning about building.
So, in tune to that. So you can't really become a contractor without first beginning.
I think so. I think it'd be a bad idea.
Knowing some sort of an apprentice and understanding of the job.
That's right. Now, and we don't have any, planned way to navigate this in a highly ordered way.
I mean, I have a little bit of
Well,
a plan,
Ben is prepared with notes and everything, and I got nothing.
I did send you some notes.
Well, you did, and
I know,
I
but
read them, but you did that, and I didn't do it. All right, let's just start at the high school age level. Okay. And I mean, for me, that's when I started learning about building, because it was my summertime job.
Right.
Working for my dad on basically on a framing crew, but it was just me and my dad and my brother. All right. And that was my introduction to building. Now, in my high school at that time, they did have a construction class. I think it was an elective, right? It wasn't every day of the week, I don't think. Are electives mostly, or maybe some electives are every day of the week in high school?
Electives are necessarily every day, but it was...
I don't remember.
Yeah.
So we did have a construction class, but it was blended with like shop work, like with, using a table saw and a bandsaw and learning general construction stuff. We actually had construction projects that we did physically. And what it was then was adding on to the shop that was the school classroom and shop was like one big metal building.
Right.
And they were trying to get, it was a new program. Like they didn't have it previously for a couple of years. Hang on a second.
Well, Jimmy had to clear his throat real quick.
Sorry about that. I had to clear my throat again.
I thought he was going to kill a spider or something.
Manganese. I'm going to go to the doctor and ask for some magnesium and see if it'll fix it. All right. The construction class was brand new at the time when I was starting to take it. Okay. They had just built the main building. It was a metal building, and you had to walk from the high school building proper to this building, which is about 100 yards outside, walking down the parking lot to another building. And they were adding all the shop equipment. Like they didn't have the shop equipment, like table saws, band saws, sanding machines.
So you were sort of right at the beginning of what is now the CTE program.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
When you were in high school.
We built that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. From the ground up. Yeah. So not really. We were pouring concrete. They were adding a concrete pad on the side of the building to install a giant industrial cyclone vacuum system. And they had all these like really big pipes that go under the concrete floor and go to different stations out in the room so that the tools could have like vacuum suction for sawdust. So we got hands-on experience forming concrete, pouring concrete, and then we laid block for one of the dugouts of the baseball field. And so we were like doing building stuff, and that was awesome. I know that not every high school is going to offer this, right?
No.
Depending on where you are. So how do you get experience and how do you learn is the real question, and I'm thankful that I imagine that through social media now, YouTube, podcast, that we are showing what it's really like building. I mean, the real life reality of being in construction is viewable to anybody that has internet now. Right.
Yeah, and I think you get comments a lot about how many people have learned things through the Perkins Builder Brothers channel, and through just through observing you build homes.
Right. Now, I hope that people learn stuff, and I hope that people see us building stuff every day, because literally what's on there is simply what we do every day. Right. Right. And I call it a show sometimes. The Perkins Builder Brothers, but it's not just a show. It's literally documenting our daily lives every day. I mean, we don't go into character and script, go on film. Yeah, there's no script. There's no plan. We literally just film what we do. All right, you already knew that. But, and so people watch that and they think, well, that's pretty cool. I might want to do that too. And I'm glad. I hope that is happening, right?
Yeah.
And I also hope that it's not an overly romanticized idea of how amazing it might be to be a carpenter or a contractor.
Well, there's a lot that doesn't go into the videos.
Well, sure. Yeah. I mean, we have limited
there's a lot that not everybody sees.
But what you see is basically what it is. Okay. There's not a big difference in the reality and what's on the YouTube. It's basically the same. And so I wouldn't want somebody to be like, oh, carpentry looks fun. Woo. I'm going to have so much fun. Because it's work. I think every job is work. It's like It's going to be hard. It's going to be hot. It's going to be lifting things, nailing things, thinking hard, figuring stuff out, dealing with problems and weather, and dealing with people that may not always agree with you. And, it's like it's a teamwork setting, and a big goal that a lot of people have to work together to achieve one goal. So if you don't like working with people, probably not.
May not be for you.
At any rate, you got something here. Go ahead.
Well, you think, experience is key.
I think so.
Early experience is key, and early understanding of construction.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that can one start. I started working when, I was in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
You probably did too. Or before.
Off the record, yes.
Yes. Well, if it's for your family business in North Carolina, there is no age limit.
Oh, really?
I didn't know if you knew that or not.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't. But
I put my 3-year-old to work every day.
Woohoo!
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm sure he's very productive on the job site.
He's making those croissants. But it's true. Anyway, with that, you got an early head start because your dad was in it.
Yeah.
Not everybody's, mom or dad is a contractor that they can work for and get that really early head start. So if someone wanted to start before high school, do you think, could they find a job doing odd jobs for somebody, you think, that young? Or would you, I don't know, you probably wouldn't do that for your crew. Well, because there's risk involved.
It's hard. Let me start by saying it's really difficult for me to be interested in taking on a apprentice or I don't know if there's another word for that, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
For taking on somebody and taking them under my wing and saying, all right, I'm going to teach you everything and I'm going to pay you to work for me, but knowing that you know nothing about building or job site or nothing. If you don't know anything, it's going to be really hard for an employer or a contractor, a builder to want to hire you unless they just need someone to sweep the floor. And I'm sure you've heard stories of, well, I started here 30 years ago sweeping the floor and now I run the place, right? And that does happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to find someone that's willing to take you on at that level. So I would think almost everybody's house is going to need some kind of work, like painting a deck or staining a deck or painting the side of the house or, maintenance of a house. If you live in a house, your house needs maintenance of some kind. And there's going to be doors that don't close right. And there's going to be things that need attention. So I would say if you're just simply by yourself and you don't have any leads, go ahead and find something that's wrong with your house. And if you don't know how to fix it, YouTube, like 10 different videos of how to fix this one thing.
Right. The house and that you live in.
If there's nothing to lose and your parents say it's okay, try to fix something.
Yeah. Or your grandparents' house or something
anybody.
like that.
I would bet
that's a good idea.
If it's not your house, you're definitely going to have a friend or a family member that's going to need some small something with their house, even if it's it shouldn't be major.
A door, usually some kind of door.
The door's always the problem with a door somewhere. A door handle. Right. It may not even be the door. The handle might be messed up. And by the way, we have to install door handles. And they hardly ever work right out the box perfectly. Mm-hmm. Even brand new ones. And you got to fiddle with it and adjust it and mess with it. And it's not easy. It doesn't just happen easy. So get the idea in your head that you got to mess with stuff for a long time, sometimes longer than you want to make something work right.
Right. But that gets you that hands-on experience,
Yep.
And then, so at that age too, I think it's, you could probably start learning about, we talked about the construction process the past 2 episodes. Mm-hmm. So just having a general knowledge of what the construction process is,
sure.
From bare land to finished home, because you can take a much deeper dive into all those.
You could. Every category, we kind of breezed over it really fast. And, well, not really fast, but pretty fast.
Yeah.
Luckily there are, of course, books out there on construction you can read. And I'm sure varying degrees of technicality, like basic steps of building a home, and then probably very, very in-depth books on every topic, like concrete. If you go, I don't have any books. I do have some of my old books here on the shelf that I brought that are some of these books. And, some of them are like textbooks. And you could read a book as thick as a phone book just about concrete. wow, you probably learn a lot. I would learn a lot if I did. And then framing. You could read just a book about framing and dedicate time into it. Roofing. I've never read a book about roofing, but I'm sure they're out there.
Yeah.
And, I mean, as a contractor, let me say this too. I don't do a lot of the trade work like, electrical, plumbing, heating and air, gas piping. I don't do all the grading. I do some myself. I don't do roofing, but I need to know about all these things, a general knowledge.
Yep.
I have to have a general knowledge of how a heating and air system works and what part is called what and where does it go and where does it come from and why is it working?
Yeah.
Same with electrical. I need to know some basic general terms about electrical stuff. Like what is a home run wire? What is a outlet box? That's pretty obvious. What is the panel? What is the meter base?
The gauge of the wire.
Yeah. Just generally knowing that certain gauge of wires have to be thicker for heavier electrical current draws and lighter gauge wires can run lighter things like lights and
GFI.
switches. What is GFI? Why would you have it? Where do you put them?
Right.
I mean, you don't have to know exactly, but you need to know what it is at least.
Yeah.
And it's a GFCI, a ground
That's
circuit,
true. Sorry.
Ground fault circuit, GFCI, ground fault circuit interrupter. Keeps you from getting shocked if you're touching water and electricity at the same time. I don't know how it works, but it's pretty magic. So, and for heating and air, I mean, just super fast. What is the air handler? What is the compressor? What is the return duct? What is the supply duct? What is the line set and why do you have it? Do you have electric heat or gas heat? Do you have a zone system or do you have a dedicated system? What is the thermostat? Where does it go? Why would you put it where it goes? And I have a general understanding of all these things.
Right.
Am I an expert at it? No. I leave that up to the guy that's going to install it. But when he asks me a question, hey, should I put the thermostat here or there? I'm going to say, well, I'd prefer it here, but is it going to have a negative effect on the way that it runs the unit? Like, is it going to give a false reading of temperature because of its location? Like, say, the sun shines through a window on it all day and it gets hot. Or it's too far from the return, and so it's just getting cold air blasted on it every time the AC turns on, and it thinks it's cold and it's going to shut off. So, I learned from all the trade people.
Because you're ultimately responsible to the customer at the end of the day.
Yeah.
As the general contractor.
I don't like it when you say it that way.
Yeah, I know, but even though you're not the one necessarily that put the HVAC in,
yeah,
you hired that person.
I think you're right.
Somewhat.
I think you're right. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I'm going to hold you responsible.
Okay. Now this, I can think to myself that if I was listening to me talking right now and I was a younger person, I would be a little overwhelmed at all this. But this is simply the reality, I think, of gaining a general knowledge of construction.
Yeah.
It is. It's not as simple as, well, you buy boards and nail them together and, I'm good at cutting boards or nailing boards. That's such a small part of it.
And I think what you're referencing now too is talking about somebody who wants to be a general contractor.
Yeah.
Right. That who wants to build homes, be in control of the process. If you just want to be a framer.
Yeah. I may have skipped ahead there.
No, I'm just saying. No, you're not. I'm just saying.
I get carried away.
If somebody's overwhelmed, they're like, I can't handle all that stuff.
Right.
Maybe you just want to be a framer. Because there's people who are just framers and have been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's their career. They just frame homes.
That would really
right?
be easier to learn to start.
Right.
A narrower, more narrow topic.
Right. And as a framer, you would be subcontracted out, say by, a general contractor, and you just go frame the house. Yep. And when you're done, you're just going to go to the next one and you're going to frame that house.
Let me say that I think you're right. And I think, as I was saying that, and I was thinking that, oh, gee, this is getting overwhelming, thinking of a person that doesn't know anything about any of these things. Mm-hmm. And then just to name drop all the things that I think you need to learn. Well, that's a lot. So something I did whenever I first started building, and I was working for my dad, but I was just at the point, like I had my own truck where people knew that I was in building and they would ask me to come and do side jobs at their place, like build a shed. Mm-hmm. I want a lawnmower shed, but I don't want to buy one. I just want to build one. Or my bedroom upstairs doesn't have a closet. Will you just build 2 walls and put a door in it? See, that's manageable. You can wrap your head around that.
Yeah.
You could really plan that through and through. You could plan where every board goes on a piece of paper and be like, all right, I can build 2 walls with 1 door in one of the walls and maybe put drywall or something on it and paint it and have a pretty good looking thing.
Yeah.
That's a good place to start. And in the lawnmower shed thing, that I think that's pretty cool because you might have more steps. You might have some foundation or some concrete blocks to set it on. You might have to know how to make something level.
Yeah.
Flat, level, plumb.
And I think, not everybody starts at a young age wanting to do this. So, because like some people might be, they might have gotten a degree or they might be started the workforce and been like, I really don't like this.
Yeah.
I would really love to do something else. So it may be much later, in life than 15 years old that they're like, I'm going to be, a builder, and that's fine. And, so because a lot of people there start with being, I think, a handyman. Or doing those little side projects for people and then build their way into other facets.
I got to say I had a really great advantage being that my dad was a builder. And I think I can't think of a better scenario than having a parent or a mentor or a really close family friend that is willing to teach you. Because they're gonna love you more than some random person you don't know that wants to hire you because they want to get production out of you, right?
Right.
There's more room probably for failure within the family friend setting, as in you mess something up or you just simply don't know what you're doing. They're going to have probably more patience with you because they personally want to see you succeed, right? More than if I get a random person that I say, okay, look, yeah, I'm not really looking for somebody to work for me right now, but I'll take a chance on you. If it doesn't go great, I'm probably out. It just like I have had a few times where I took a chance on a younger person and you know what? It wasn't their abilities or their skill that made me not want them at the job. It was attitude.
Right.
And so we got to talk about attitude, I feel like. And this is something that'll be a huge struggle, and hopefully people listening will agree with this, that if you have a bad attitude and you already think you know it all, and you don't, and I don't either,
right.
Like you're not going to do really well, probably at anything, because nobody wants to try to teach somebody that is unteachable, And I struggle with this sometimes, even with my own kids. I want to teach my kids all kinds of stuff, and some topics are more well received, and some are less. But if I tell you to sweep the floor a certain way, like I want to see you sweep the floor a certain way. It's not because I want to control you, but it's because I want you to do it the way that I think I want it done.
To see if you can follow direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you go willy-nilly and turn into dust storm destroyer with the broom, I'm going to be like, dude, you're clouding up the whole house with dust. Like, chill out and sweep it the way I'm telling you, or use a vacuum. But, if I tell you to stack boards a certain way or carry a certain number of boards, if I say, look, there's a pile of 200 boards on that unit of lumber, and I need you to move them all from there to over here. Well, I'm going to use my past experience to say, I think I can carry 3 of those at one time or 2, it's going to take a while. This is what's manageable. This is what is sustainable to move the whole pile.
Right.
All right. So if I see you over there moving 1 board at a time, but I know you can move 2 and maybe even 3, I'm going to say, look, you need to pick up the pace because you're going to take 3 days to do this thing. This should take 2 hours.
Right.
Okay. At least carry 2 boards and have a little pep in your step. Okay. All right. But let's go the other way. If I see you try to grab 6 at a time and they're all twisted up and turning different directions and you're tripping and falling and struggling and groaning and moaning about it because you can't carry them all, that's just as bad. And I'm going to say, I feel like my parent side's coming out. Do what I told you to do.
That's right. I was
do what I'm telling you to do. How can I make this more clear? Do what I say to do. Oh man.
I was feeling for your kids in this moment. And I was like, oh, to be Jamie's kid.
Let me tell you, my kids are lucky that they have a really great mom. Okay. Well, and I tell my kids this too, and again, I think it's important. I don't think this is out of place, but I tell my kids when we have a little heart to heart and I have to, I say, son, I know you might be mad that I'm correcting you here or that I'm trying to teach you a certain way, a way that you don't like because you might think it's hard or something or whatever. But I can tell you that I love you more than anybody. Me and your mom, and the people in this house, our family, we're giving you the best instruction that we can because we care about you the most, more than anybody else in this world. And we want you to succeed. And that's why we're teaching you the way that we feel is the way that we want to teach you. Right. So again, that's what I think the whole parent thing and the generational, like building, my granddaddy and my dad and me and my kids. And, you get this really long, like super in-depth wealth of knowledge within a family that continues a business for a long time or a trade maybe, because
if you're lucky, I think
you can, if you're lucky, I guess maybe not as much anymore.
Right.
But
a lot of family trees have some broken branches.
Sure. Of course. And are my kids going to be builders? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't push them to be because and this may sound bad, but it's hard work. It is hard work. It's not easy. Nothing is easy though. So that's what I always come back to. It's like, well, building is a great job. It's a great career. I don't regret choosing it. And I was going to say force my kids to be builders. That's silly. I would say if they feel like they want to do it, I'd say, great, I'll help you every way I can. If they want to do something different, I would say, that's fine. Do whatever you think you want to do, and I'll help you with that in whatever way I can. Anyway.
So, I mean, the end of that story is about attitude, I think.
Yeah, I really got sidetracked there.
Yeah, but having the right attitude on the job site.
Yeah.
And in any job.
Yeah, sure. I mean, nobody wants to work around somebody with a bad attitude, of course.
Right.
But if you are unteachable in the way that, I say to do it one way and you decide to do it your own way.
Yeah.
Like you're going to get fired so fast. Nobody that is actually a professional has time to deal with that. And maybe 2 or 3 times I could tell you, hey, pick up another board or, hey, put down another board every time you do this and do it the way I told you. I could deal with saying that a few times. But if you continue to veer off and do your own thing, even though you've been given specific instructions, that's a major problem.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. And it's a distraction for you to keep up with what they're doing.
Sure.
Which could cause problems on the job site in general.
Right. And if you don't like being told what to do because you have a major problem with authority or something weird.
Yeah.
Then you don't need to work for somebody that's going to tell you what to do, or you're going to be broke because you need a job. I don't know.
You need to start your own business.
I'm not a psychologist, but
the attitude part, is very important. And with that is that developing interest. You have to be somewhat interested in the subject, of building. So you talked about the books and learning the different trades that go into a home. What about blueprints? Like knowing how to read a blueprint. I mean, like you and I took drafting in high school, so we got to draw our own house plans and sort of know what all these lines meant. This means an electrical outlet goes here. This means all that stuff. I think that's also something that you could dive into at a younger age to get a basic understanding.
Definitely, and starting simple is good. Like draw a shed with 4 walls that's 10 feet by 10 feet. And you can wrap your I use the term wrap your mind around it. You can fully imagine the whole thing in one shot.
Yeah.
So the house I'm building right now is not that. Like you can't wrap your mind around the whole thing ever at one time and know, I get it all. Well, and kind of now that it's almost done, but at the beginning you're just looking at a drawing and you're thinking I have to make this thing become a reality, a physical product from a paper drawing. And so, studying house plans is a great way, even if it's over your head and you're looking at a plan, just read it anyway, study it anyway. I got to tell you, I'm reading a book. We probably talked about this, the episode we talked about speakers. I'm reading a book by Bob McCarthy and it's about sound. It's about designing sound systems and optimizing sound systems.
Okay.
And it is over my head. Holy moly.
Wow.
It is deep. It is literally a textbook, like phone book thick, 500 something pages, small print. A lot of pictures, though.
Okay.
I do like pictures. And I was at a place where I was plateaued out in my knowledge and my understanding of sound and sound systems, and had problems that I couldn't solve because I didn't have the answers, and I didn't have the tools to find the answers. And so I came across this book and I read it, and it had all the answers, but I couldn't understand them all because it was so complicated. And so I read it, set it down for a while. I think I gained a little bit of knowledge, and then I read it again, and I gained a little more knowledge, and then I read it again.
Oh my gosh.
I did. See how my voice gets deeper every time I say again?
It's a little raspy, but I hear it. Yeah.
Again. So let's, because maybe people don't read books as much anymore, but I think a book is a good way. It's a physical thing to set in your house or your bookshelf where you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll be like, oh, there's that thing. Because on your phone or on YouTube, it's all closed and gone the second that you X out the screen. So if you put a book in front of you, it's going to be a visual reminder. Oh, hey, there's that book. Oh, hey, I should read that. Oh, hey, I should learn that. And so I like that. I set my book in a place where I'll see it, where I pass through my kitchen or my living room. So I'll be tempted to read it each time I see it. And you know what? Okay, I've read this book 3 times. I'm gonna take it. Wow, there's a cat in the tree. I can see out the door.
Is there a cat out there?
There's a cat. Is that your cat?
Is it black and white?
It is black and white, and it is about 10 feet up in a tree right now, chilling in a branch. Okay.
Oh, I got a story about the cat.
So,
But
okay.
anyway,
All right. The idea is that if you read a book about how to frame a house or how to build a foundation or how to whatever on a house, like you're probably not going to get it all when you first read it, and don't expect to get it all. Expect to absorb about 5%. And then the next time you read it, you might absorb another 10% because you have some baseline of, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah, that looks familiar. And then read it again, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know why, I'm supposing that the assumption is that you read a book and you understand it all, but that may not be real. But for me, my experience is that I read something and I absorb a little bit and I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you're not, but you're also talking about, you're not talking about, a sappy love story book.
Right. No, this is not the Notebook.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, right.
Not that you can't reread those. I just don't know that you'll learn anything more than you did the first time you read it. When it comes to to the beach reads, as my wife would call them.
What?
Beach reads.
Beach reads.
Yeah, it's like she never has these books, and then like if we go on vacation to the beach, she's like picking up all these like sappy, crappy love story novels. That are just
you're about as romantic as me, I bet.
She's like, I'm gonna read these, and I'm like, you never read these.
And does she read them?
Yeah.
Well, that might be the only time in her life that she has time to read them.
It's part of her escape. Yep.
That's great. What about your cat story?
Oh, yes. That's is a good little, we'll call this the cat commercial. Anyway, so that cat is, that's Jin.
All right.
He comes inside some, he was a great cat, and before he had another puppy, I would have been like, I'm not really a cat person, but I like the fact that he's very low maintenance.
So you have a puppy now.
We have a puppy now.
The cat. I thought, it sounded like the cat had a puppy, but that's not what happened.
It's not.
You have a puppy.
Yeah.
We have a cat.
Yeah. My wife got a new puppy, and the cat moved out.
No way.
Yep.
Just straight up.
He moved next door. I swear.
Got all of his stuff.
He did.
It's like, I'm packing.
Yep.
See ya. I don't like this black and brown furry thing that's in my space.
Nope. Because my in-laws have the house next door. And that's a whole different story. But still,
right.
The cat packed up and moved over there. And my mother-in-law came over and got cat food and was like, I guess your cat lives over here now. And my wife is in denial.
Yeah.
She doesn't think, and I think it's hilarious. She's like, why are you laughing? Cool. I'm like, because your cat moved out.
I have never heard of that happening. That's pretty awesome. All right, let's talk about another book that somebody should read.
About construction.
Yeah. Okay. All right. If you want to build houses in whatever degree you're going to build them, whether you're framing, whether you're doing foundations, whether you're doing a whole house yourself, whether you simply maybe you just want to be an electrician. Maybe you don't want to build nothing. You just want to be an electrician. Or you want to be a plumber, or maybe I guess we're coming at this at the angle that you want to be a framer or a contractor, but what if you want to be a tradesperson?
Yeah.
Well, there might be trade schools for those. you definitely have to go to school to be a plumber or to be an electrician. You have to get a license to be a business owner and to actively perform work. But, anybody that works for one could.
I think you have to apprentice for a while too.
You might have to.
I think before.
Yeah, you probably do.
Yeah,
you probably do. So, you don't have to know everything about everything, and you don't have to know everything about framing if you're going to be an electrician. But the code book.
Building code.
The building code book is going to outline all the rules for you about everything.
Right.
In a general way, at least. And so I've actually dreamed of this, and this is not even a joke. I actually wish that I would make myself sit down and read my code book like I read my sound book.
And it gets updated so often, right?
Well, it does. Mine's a 2018.
Oh.
It's 7 years old.
Gotcha.
It's probably way overdue for an update, and I don't know if they're threatening to put out a new book. I wish they would, so that mine's getting pretty beat up, and I need to buy a new one. But I don't want to buy another old one right before they put out a new one because they're like $300.
Gotcha.
But you can read them online, I'm pretty sure, for free.
It's a lot of staring. That's a lot of staring at the screen.
I wish I had. It is. You'd probably go crazy. I don't.
One in the library.
You might be able to, find one in the library. I mean, even people that are trying to get their licenses, some people that I know, they might ask me, "Hey, can I borrow your code book? I need to study." I'm like, "No, I'm sorry. It's like I only got one code book. I keep it with me every day in the truck, and I can't just give it up, or I just need to buy a new one. Maybe I should just give it to somebody and buy a new one." But the code book, it has a whole section right before it gets into the code, specific codes, and it's like general terminology and building planning. I think it's a section called building planning.
Okay.
So there's tons of general building knowledge crammed into that building planning section, like how tall and how wide do steps need to be, how and that there's a whole section in that too, but general. I should just, what we'll do here. I got it figured out.
Okay.
Dude,
Okay.
This is a great idea. I'm going to bring my code book.
Oh.
And we're going to read it. We're just going to read
The
through it
whole thing,
all.
right?
We're going to read through it all. We'll take turns because it's going to take a while.
I don't know that I need to be here for that.
We'll take turns. We'll do a tag team. And when I get tired of reading, I'll tag you.
But what if they come out with a new code book the day after we do this?
Well, and let me tell you, there's two kinds of code books that I know of, or at least three, in where we are in North Carolina, in the United States. I use the North Carolina Residential Code. That is the book that I'm held to at the local building department level. There's also one called the IRC, the International Residential Code. And as far as I know, if the word international means what I think it does, that'd be all states in our nation.
Okay.
I think it would be nationwide, but there are different codes in different areas, of course, like high wind zones, earthquake zones, super cold climates, super hot climates, and that's why there is a state to state different set of codes. Because I don't need to build my house here in the mountains to be a coastal, meet coastal requirements, or vice versa, and I don't need to build a house here where it's pretty warm that is for a super cold climate. So there's variations depending where you are. But in general, the international code, the IRC, if you just want general knowledge and you, I think that's a good place to start.
Okay.
The IRC code book.
Yeah, because,
and then there's commercial.
It's different state to state is what you're saying, one you're talking about. Yeah.
And maybe in county to county, depending if you have some extreme like scenarios in certain counties. Probably do. We don't have any of those here, except high wind zones. Right. If you're a high elevation.
Yeah, I mean, you have ridge laws and slope laws in the next county over.
True.
I mean, Buncombe has them for sure.
Yeah, but that's zoning isn't necessarily in the code book.
Yeah, he was saying ridge laws and high wind and
right.
So
what Brett was talking about was ridge top building, slope building, and that's more of a zoning unified development stuff than it is building code.
Right. So if you could get a job working for a builder, that'd be great. I guess I'm throwing out ideas mostly that are if you're not at that point yet, or you haven't been able to be hired by somebody as an entry level person. You might find somebody that'll hire an entry level person.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to train you on the job.
But
to
even
do whatever they need you to do. That's what they're going to teach you how to do,
But even if you're pushing the broom during the day, cleaning up the job site, you know, you're seeing this house built from the ground up, super valuable.
Observe.
You know, but still in the evening,
Yes.
what could you be doing? You could be
You could be
reading,
studying.
you know, you could be, that's the thing is like, there's always time to be learning, you know, and if this is what you're really passionate about, you're telling people right now that this is what will make you someone I want to hire.
Yeah.
You know, if I see you out there pushing the broom and then you come in and you ask me a question about something in the code book,
I would be caught off guard. I would maybe be impressed. Well, it depends on which question was, but
right. I would say,
but in general, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I just try to make it funny, but
no,
nobody will do it for you. That's something I want to say because it takes actual personal motivation and determination, right? You have to decide, I'm going to do something and I'm going to learn something on your own. And just like me with this, with the sound book, and I'll shut up about the sound book thing, but I do love it. I do love to talk about it since you asked. That nobody's making me read this book. It is my personal desire to know and obtain the information within the book so that I can apply it in a way that I get results or satisfaction or enjoyment out of, right? It's more of a hobby, I guess, but I have personal interest and motivation to learn the information, and I don't have to read X number of pages or chapters per day and blah, 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 right? I don't have to pass a test. I think that's the kind of motivation that you are going to need to tackle something like this on your own where nobody is pushing you to do it. You're just going to have to have your own motivation. How do you get your own? I don't know how you get your own motivation, but if you're not motivated, you're not going to read your book. You're not going to study. You're not going to ask questions. You will not pursue it.
It's going to be hard.
So what is your interest? You know, it's like nobody can make you do anything that you don't have interest in. And
yeah,
I don't know. I just thought that was worth saying.
Yeah, your mind's got to be in the right place. You know, so those are a lot of things that you can take steps towards being, you know, a more desirable potential hire for sure to get that apprenticeship or whatever you want to call it. But
Right.
just, you know, understanding materials, you know, what the different materials are, you know,
You could
the difference between what pressure treated is and what it's used for.
I think that's
and what
a
it's
great
not,
idea.
You know,
you should go to Lowe's and walk around and look at all the shelves.
Yeah.
And be like, what is that? Oh, I don't know. What is this? You know, there's lots of learning you can do
Yeah. And it's,
without working, but working is good if you're getting paid for it. And
I think it's two different kinds of knowledge that you're gaining at the same time, probably, you know, there's so, but that what you're learning on the job site is very practical.
I would say
Put
so.
to use, you know,
Yeah.
or the Perkins Builder Brothers YouTube channel, you know, very practical.
There's a lot to learn. You can watch us build 10 houses probably.
Yeah.
And they're all different. And they all have different scenarios and different problems, struggles, and things to overcome. So,
yeah. And then you can come here and listen about sound books. If you want that. So if I had I thought about this question
okay.
while I was thinking about this topic is, you know, if someone is in college now and knows they want to be a custom home builder, okay, what degree do you think they should pursue to make it, you know, to do that? You know, does it have to be a construction management degree to be a custom home builder? Or, you know, would you say that an entrepreneurship or business management or, you know, engineering or architecture, you know, is that something that would maybe, you know, if you were to do it, maybe what would you be interested in, you think?
Okay.
From a college education level.
Okay. I mean, for me, I may have said this before, at least the one requirement that I would say, if you want to be a business owner, or just be smarter with your own money, is to get some sort of business education. You know, it's not to hand to your employer and say, look at me, you should hire me because I'm smart. You should say, I took this class so that I can be smart for myself and know that I can be successful in business and or just handle money in a good way that will make you be successful over time, you know, in whatever you're doing, right? Whether you're mowing grass, whether you're a contractor or a carpenter or whether you get married and you need to buy a house and handle money and have, whatever. So yeah, I think the business degree, I don't have a business degree. I don't have any degree.
Yeah.
I have a high school education and a contractor's license and a lot of experience.
Did the business part come easy?
Well, I made some mistakes in my bookkeeping that were just stupid mistakes that basically I didn't keep track of my checkbook very well.
Right.
And it fell on me, in the wrong way.
Gotcha.
When numbers are off in your checkbook, they're never the right way where you have more money than you thought. No, it's always, what? There's $10,000 less than there's supposed to be. Well, my book says I've got this much, and then I go to check the bank account, and it's only this much. This can't be right. And you got nobody to blame but yourself because you've been the one handling it. So, just having a general knowledge of like bookkeeping, which I do super simple. I mean, people would laugh if they knew how simple my business actually is.
But when you're thinking of kids today,
Yeah,
like you don't even taught how to write a check.
probably
So
not.
a check ledger, is it? It's like,
Yeah.
so you have to. I mean, it's just not. I think it's more common for us when we think about, we learned bookkeeping somewhere,
Right.
Either from our parents, seeing them do it, or in school. I think there was a little bit on it in
I guess we
economics
took
class
home
or
ec.
something. Yeah,
Did they even have home ec?
I.
We learned how to use the sewing machine. I
Yeah.
already knew, though. My mom taught me how to use the sewing
But
machine.
anyway, it's not the same today because a lot of it's a bit more digital,
Yeah.
and it's not like they teach the same concepts. I
Well,
don't
my
think.
kids are going to be I'll learn. I'm going to find out what they teach.
Yeah.
Because my kids, I've got a kid in middle school and one in elementary and one in pre-K. So, I'll find out
Right.
and I'll let you know. It's going to take a while. It's going to take
Good.
a little time.
Yeah, well, that'll be before my kid gets there, so you fill me in.
There's so much stuff. It's like we could talk forever, and there's just so many things to suggest or recommend.
I mean, if you're going to start your own, if you're going to be an employee, it's not as bad. You're going to get paid by, the general contractor's going to write you a check, and you're going to go home and, live your merry life.
That's right.
But if you're the general contractor running the business, you have more people to pay than just your employees. You have your suppliers to pay. You have to retrieve money from the person you're building the house from.
Yeah.
And you have to make all of that work in a way that you don't spend $50,000 before you have $50,000 to spend. Because what if you do that and then the person doesn't pay?
Well, you would just be an idiot. You would lose all your money. Let me say this. What Ben is saying is that if you put your personal money into somebody's build to get a certain amount of work accomplished so that the bank can pay you or the homeowner can pay you back for that, then you're putting yourself at a great risk.
Right.
I don't ever put my personal money into someone else's build,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's good to know. Because what if you didn't know and somebody says, oh, what, you do a certain amount of work and then I pay you for it? Or, and if you said, yeah, I'll do the foundation, I'll pay for that. And then you pay me back and then we'll go from there. I don't know. It could get really wacky.
Yeah.
It could get super wacky.
Yeah. Because going to court is not free.
No.
If you have to go to court to try to get money out of somebody. So, that's can be a detriment to whatever business you were trying to start.
That'd be a bad way to start out the gate.
Yeah.
Losing money. I can tell you this. I remember the first house I built out of high school.
Okay.
When I got my license. So I got my contractor's license in the spring of 2002. And that's the same spring that I graduated high school. And actually I studied for the test every day in my drafting class because my teacher let me study my code book during school,
Right.
which was great because I took a night class. If somebody just wants to get their contractor's license, you can just go take the test. But unless you study for the test, you probably won't pass it. And so anyway, I was able to study during the day, every day at school, and then take my night class and get my license. And so my dad was building and already had projects lined up. And so as soon as I graduated, we had a house to build. And it was not very big. It was probably like 24 by 36
Yeah.
with a basement. And I didn't build the basement. We hired out the basement, the concrete and the block work and all that. So, but I was in charge of the job, so I had to manage, site work, excavation. My dad had designed the house. And so we already had a plan we knew was good. We didn't have to get some wacky plan from somebody and figure out what in the world is it. We had the plan. We knew the house inside and out. The site was good. It was close to town. And, I learned a lot, and I did a lot of things on that house that I would never do the same way as I do now. I mean, the way I did it then, when I was 18 years old, of course.
Was your dad was like looking over your shoulder? The whole
Yeah.
time?
Oh yeah. He was here, or he was there, whatever, building it with me. And it was just me and him. Built the house. It was small, single story on top of a basement, like I said. And it turned out great. The homeowner was happy. And I remember making money on that job. And, from somebody that's in high school, you might do, I had jobs during high school, like I said, building in the summertime, making a weekly paycheck as a framer, if you will. But I also had other jobs when I was in high school that paid a little bit. But when I made my first amount of money from building a house as a contractor, I was like, whoa, this is a lot of money. Now, it wasn't that much money. Don't let me trick you into thinking I like struck it rich or something, because I didn't. But I will say it was significantly more than I was used to making as a high school student, just working at a gas station or working anywhere, at a restaurant. Like I worked at a little pizza shop. I worked at a gas station. I worked at a tubing place, where you rent tubes to somebody to float down a creek. Things like that. You make a little bit of money, whatever. But I was hooked when that first build happened. Everything went pretty good. It was a lot of hard work, but I made a paycheck. I was pumped. I was like, sweet, what's next? I got so much money. I'm going to retire right now. But it was, like I said, it wasn't that much looking back, but at the time it was significantly greater.
What'd you do with your first paycheck?
I bought a truck.
Oh.
Bought a truck. Yep. And that truck lasted me about 10 years. So yeah, I think it was well spent,
Yeah. I think if anybody has any other like specific questions, that relate to this, I think it's that we've kicked it off on a good starting point that, reach out with any questions, that we can dive into a little bit more that you may have for Jaime.
Or even answers of ways that we're not, I'm sure there's lots of things that we are not mentioning that are ways that people can get into trades or get into building to gain knowledge, to apprentice, to maybe there's workshops, maybe there's classes, maybe there's things that we're not aware of that we would love to be able to share. If you leave a comment and we can read it and share it with everybody.
Okay. Yeah. Well, what we're going to do now, I think, is we're going to roll into a few questions and try to tackle some of those to get out there. It looks like, one of the ones that's here from a couple of days ago is somebody wants you. This is Blue Coveralls 7729.
Ooh,
yeah,
I like the name.
To see.
Nice handle.
Jaime, please talk about caulking.
Okay.
And then you have a great partner, Sashco.
Yeah, true.
And I know you have deep feelings about people commenting about using Windex and other parting agents to get that smooth finish.
Mm-hmm.
Can you please? It's talk about that, I guess, a little bit.
Okay.
It goes on to the rest of it's not really a question, so I'm not going to read it. It's what. I don't necessarily know what he's talking about either. So,
well, let me break it down for you.
Yeah,
there are two basic types of sealant that we use from Sashco that are our most common ones. One is Big Stretch, which is a water-based sealant. We'll call it caulk, but we call it sealant. And then there's like Lexel, which is one of my favorite products in the world ever.
Ever?
Everybody knows that, but. And, Lexel is a solvent-based product. So it won't wash off your hands with water. And if you need to tool it, we call it, like when you put a bead of caulk on something or a bead of Lexel and you try to swipe it with your finger, it's going to stick on your finger, and the excess that goes outside of the small area that you actually want to be caulked, you need to wipe it off somehow, or you need to, it sets up faster too. Like Lexel will start to cure. And especially if it's out in the sun. So if you want a really, really good looking bead of Lexel or any solvent based sealant, you're going to apply it, and then you need to tool it either with your finger, which is probably the most common thing, or they actually make little plastic tooling tools that have a rounded shape or whatever shape you like, and you swipe it with that. But in order to keep it going smooth and not sticking, you need maybe what did he call that?
He said Windex.
Windex, but what did he name it as?
A parting agent.
A parting agent, okay.
Yeah.
So the Windex, if you spray Windex on fresh, wet Lexel, and then you swipe your finger on it, your finger won't stick to it. And you can swipe it and tool it.
So you spray the
smoothly.
Windex on the caulk, not the Windex on your finger.
I guess you could go either way. I actually don't know. And I don't know if there's any adverse effect or result from spraying Windex on Lexel. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. There might be other things you could use, like peanut butter or mayonnaise that wouldn't stick. No, I'm just making that up. Don't try that. But okay, with water-based caulk or sealant like Big Stretch, I don't use any parting agent except maybe a damp rag. If I need it to look really good for some reason and it's inside a house, maybe it's against a countertop, like maybe a granite countertop to a tile backsplash or something like that, and I need it to look like so good it's unbelievable, then I would dispense the caulk with the gun and then maybe swipe it once with my finger to get any major excess off, and then I would take a damp rag, like an old t-shirt type material, and I would wet that and just swipe it with that and keep it clean. Keep a clean part of the rag every time I swipe. Fold the rag, keep a clean part of the rag, and then rinse that rag like every 5 minutes and get it clean again and keep it clean. So that's how I get a really nice, clean looking line. In general, though, I don't do that. Like for the most part of what I do, I just try to dispense it as beautifully as I can out of the tube. And if it needs to be swiped with my finger, do that real quick. And if not, don't touch it,
Since we're on the topic of caulking, I had when I was finishing the inside of this house, I put up shiplap. When it comes time to caulk the seam of the trim and the shiplap,
I've been looking at it.
Okay, I don't want your comments about what it does, but I want to know what you would have done for the gap, because there's a gap in the shiplap.
At each corner, whether you have a corner trim.
Yeah, it's whatever. It's like, and the gap is open, or am I going to fill it with caulk?
Yeah, where there's a window trim, a door trim, you can see where the gap between the nickel gap goes in behind the trim, and it's not caulked. To do it any better than you did. Now, it looks like you just went willy-nilly and didn't care what you were doing here. No, I'm just kidding. But
I can tell you what I did.
What did you do?
So I did the bead of caulk, and I tooled it.
With your finger?
With my finger.
Okay.
But then that left it bunched up in the gaps.
Okay.
Yep. So I took I think I took a screw or a drill bit head and tried to, and I cleaned out every...
Kind of mucked it out. Yeah.
Mucked out the gap and tried to retool it again a little bit.
I think you did great. I think you did an excellent job.
Stop looking at
There's
it.
There's nothing about it. I am looking at it. I've been looking at it the whole podcast. I can't even think because I'm looking at it. But I would take, if I really had a perfectionist mindset on this, or I had a customer that I really wanted to impress, then I would dispense some caulk in there, and then I would fit a tool, a little piece of a stick or a piece of wood or a little piece of metal that fit just the width of the 1/8 inch gap on this nickel gap. And I would literally square edge tool it into the hole behind the trim and fill it behind it and swipe it clean and make sure that the gap was fully cleaned out and not partially filled with any caulk all the way till it hits the corner board or the window trim or whatever it is, and make sure that void that goes in behind that trim is filled, and swipe it out. Each little one. It would take forever, but you'd have a fantastic result. Now, most people are not going to get hung up on this. Most people
I'm one of those most people.
Well, if you're really paranoid about it, which you should be.
Only because you keep looking at it.
Then you can... you can do that yourself, and just put on some music in here and just know that you're going to be in here a while, and it'll be great.
Well, you're also one to fill every nail head in the shiplap before you paint it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm not one of those
people.
And
shiplap is different than it used to be, because now shiplap is a tongue and groove product. An old shiplap wasn't. It was a rabbited edge product, meaning it just had a 90-degree corner taken out of it down the length of it, right? It was like routed. And so the bottom edge did not engage into the previous board like a tongue and groove does. And so how do you nail it? Well, you're going to have to face nail it. There's no other way. Now you could nail the one edge that has, we'll call it the tongue, but it's only half of a tongue sort of.
Yeah.
You could do a concealed nail there.
Well,
Nail. But the other side, you're going to have to face nail. So, in general, if I'm putting this stuff up, I'm going to just face nail it all. It's so hard to nail in that little tiny tongue groove.
Yeah.
The shape of it's just weird. I don't know. Yeah. So I do that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then fill all the holes with some putty or something.
It's. I didn't do that.
Yup.
It's okay. The next question here is from, man, this is going to be hard. I know first name's Owen, I believe. Last name LeBerknight, I believe.
Okay.
That's where we're
I'll
going to go.
take your word for
3097. Question for Jamie. What are your thoughts about craftsmanship in heavy civil construction, like roads, bridges, dams, airports, mass excavations, etc.? I mean, I know you talked about dams a little bit before.
Yeah. Craftsmanship, I will say this. I think things have changed over time in the degree of like detail and craftsmanship category. If you look at old bridges, especially, concrete bridges, I notice the details on stuff. Like I'm totally entertained by details. And like when I go on vacation, I can barely even say that word, vacation. I like to look at new places, buildings, bridges. I could literally probably look at the bottom of a bridge for an hour and just stare at it and take it in, And I'm just cataloging what I'm seeing and how it's built or how I think it's built, because I think maybe I could use that someday when I build something.
Yeah.
Or I just imagine what it must have been like to build something, because that's fun for me.
Yeah, I envision you standing there sort of in a vacuum
Yeah.
with your kids screaming and your wife being like, all right, we got to go, honey.
Yeah,
And you're
that does happen. She's like, do you not hear them? And I'm like, huh? What? No, I'm like, yeah, I hear them, but I was focused. I liked, like in Franklin, for example, they're rebuilding some bridges, and they had some, the rails, the side rails of the bridges are a lot of places where they would have some detailed type of design, like an architectural, something to look at, like the concrete guardrails on a bridge. They would have, either like rounded pillar looking things in a top cap, or maybe they have recessed looking little panels in a solid concrete wall. They went through some pretty extensive lengths to make it look pretty.
Yeah.
And then, of course, most of the time when they're building bridges on the highway, they'll do one and the old one's still there, and then they'll do the other one. And the brand new one is, of course, superior in every way. Mega strong, ultra strong, super long, longer usually. They usually get the abutments farther back on the banks, and, bigger steel, bigger concrete, but they're usually plain looking. It's all about the function, and not that those people that are building new bridges aren't using craftsmanship, because I'm sure it takes all kinds of knowledge and skill and expertise and experience to do a great job building a new bridge. But the design and the construction methods have changed in such a way where displaying the craftsmanship in a visible way is not as much of a thing anymore, right?
Right.
It's just like, we need this thing to be super strong and build it fast and efficiently, and maybe that's more important now. So yeah, I like old bridges because I love to look at the detail in the concrete work, and even the design of the columns, underneath that go into the water or whatever it is.
Sounds like bridges are your favorite.
Bridges are cool. Train bridges are awesome.
Trussels.
Trussels. There you go. Mm-hmm. And, we've got the one there at Fontana. It looks old as it can be. It looks too old. You looked at the steel work on that thing. It looks scary. I'm like, dude, I would not ride a train across that for nothing. But I guess they inspect it and it's fine.
Well, it's a funny story about that is they used to do these dinner trains, and they would, leave town and go out there, and they would stop on the trestle.
Okay.
But then they had to stop doing that because the engineer, somebody like an engineer said, hey, this trestle was designed to have weight moving across it
Oh,
constantly. They're not static weight
Really?
sitting on it. Yeah, that's what I heard. I don't know if that's official or not, but it's like they don't do that anymore. They don't stop on the bridge and take a break for people.
They stop after.
Yeah, they stop after.
well,
it.
folks, we would stop here, but this thing's about to fall down, so we're just going to keep rolling.
Well,
No,
yeah,
that's for all bridges.
Yeah.
Most bridges are designed for, like Ben said, not a static load put on them.
Sure.
right. Yeah, that's like the bridge, even in town. Like, you know, even though like we have cars that park on the right side of it.
Yeah.
Technically, that bridge was not designed to carry a static load of weight like that. It's
How about that?
designed to carry weight.
A dynamic load.
Yes. So,
I've thought about that. That is weird. In town, we have parallel parking on a bridge.
Stop talking about it. It's not really, don't talk about it.
All right, we do not have parallel parking on a bridge. Well, what's wacky too is if you're on a bridge or even in a big building, you can feel them move when something happens. Like if you're on a bridge and you see a big truck rolls by, you feel the bridge vibrate and shake, and it's meant to be able to handle dynamic loads and flex a little bit, I guess. But even in big buildings, you know, sometimes you feel like the floor shaking, and it's like I don't know what is causing that, but
Yeah. Have you ever been in like a skyscraper when it's windy?
I have. I've been in the.
Did it move?
What is it in New York? The Empire
State Building. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, hey, I read most of a good book about buildings. It's called "Why Do Buildings Stand Up" by some guy. Can't pronounce. Can you look that up real quick, Brett?
Yeah.
Why Buildings Stand Up? It's about architecture and structure and engineering, and I think it's in that book at least. I can't think of another book I could have read that would have had this information. It's about dynamic loads on tall buildings, like wind loads, and the buildings like dynamic frequency or something. Like if the wind pushed and stopped at a certain frequency, then the building could sympathize with that frequency and begin to move too much. You know, stuff like that. But there's all these, tolerances of how much it's supposed to move or allowed to move or whatever that's built into the structure and all that, of course. Mario Salvadori. Okay, Mario Salvadori wrote this book. And is it called what I said it was called?
Why buildings stand up.
Why buildings stand up. The strength of architecture. That is a good little read. Not a big book either. And it kind of outlines basic concepts in design and engineering, not houses, mostly other like civil kind of structure.
Right.
But that's a great little read. I'd recommend it for anybody that just has some kind of interest in buildings.
Maybe Brett should get that for his daughter, who's getting ready to graduate and is interested in civil engineering, I believe.
I hear there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to everything than you think.
Yeah.
You drive down the street, there's so much engineering and thinking that went into that street that you have no idea about.
Right.
And I don't either. Brett does. and he loves it. Hey, somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
Next one is from Lorraine Dennison, 1960. I have a question about screws. What is the best type? Phillips drive or slotted? And I know you're not going to pick either one of those.
Well,
but,
between the two, Phillips.
Yeah. Okay. Because I have trouble with Phillips drive screws. I find they strip out when trying to remove them.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
But what I know those two aren't your favorite. What's your favorite?
Well, I mean, we use the Torx head the most. The T25 is kind of the industry standard for a deck screw, which is a generic term for a 3-inch screw that could be used for a lot of different things. I mean, we use GRK screws, which we think are basically...
That's the brand of screw.
Yeah, the brand is called GRK. I don't know what that stands for, but that is the brand that we use the most on the job site, and the T25 head really engages well. But there's something else that may help or hurt you a lot, is that if you're using a drill without an impact feature or function, we use what we call impact drill. Can you make the sound that it does?
No, I can't do it. I can't do it. I feel like you can.
I don't know. Nobody wants to hear that. It's a terrible sound. They're actually the newer ones. People are trying to design them to where they make a different sound, or they're quieter.
Right.
They have like different mechanical, like hydraulic or different. I don't know. I'm totally botching it.
I look forward to it.
Okay. I dream of the day that they make a pretty quiet impact drill. I mean, I wear earplugs all day, every day at the job because I don't want to listen to them. Nobody does. I mean, I don't want to listen to a saw or a nail gun either.
Yeah.
And so I wear ear protection and eyes, ears and eyes all day. And if you're getting into construction in any way, any form, you need to be wearing earplugs and safety glasses
Right.
during everything that you're doing. Like just the other day, I was down there digging that sewer pipe on my machine.
Yeah.
We're not going to get into this. We'll save this for some other time. Dude, I picked up a piece of pipe with the machine, with the thumb and the bucket, and it was at least 10 feet away from where I'm sitting on the machine. And I clamped down on it, and the PVC broke. And a piece of it flew off of there and hit me in the face.
No.
Yes, it did.
Of the poo pipe?
It was a used sewer pipe, and it hit me in the face.
Oh, man.
But I think I have my glasses on. I mean, I'm ears and eyes. I mean, well, you don't have to wear ears when you're running a machine if you're outside and it's not too loud, but glasses are important.
Yeah. Yeah, but your machine's not
All right,
that
so
loud.
the screws. All right, sorry, I got distracted.
Yeah.
But screws, I would pick a Phillips head over a flathead any day.
Well, one thing with the Phillips, though, is I don't think people realize that there's different Phillips, like, sizes.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're using the wrong size bit for the wrong size screw, that's definitely going to contribute to stripping.
All right, let's say the most common size is a number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
since we're talking about sewer pipes, all right, you thought it, I said it. Number 2 is the most common standard size, like a drywall screw. And if you have a screwdriver that is worn out, throw it away, buy a new one.
Like when you look at the tip.
If the tip is not in perfect condition, I would throw it away. And I do throw them away. I'm like, get out of here. I need a new one because you're going to, I'm throwing a frustration out the window.
Gotcha.
That I'm going to, it's worth the money to buy a new screwdriver. And same with the bit on your drill. If it's getting worn, dude, just get a new one. And I've tried to like sharpen them and shape them and do stuff like that. It usually doesn't work.
And, she talks about slotted screws.
Yeah.
I hate slotted screws, except in certain scenarios that they've like, whatever, outlets have not evolved to where they have, they have a slotted screw.
It's aesthetic, maybe.
Maybe. But but I mean, I don't know that two slots over one changes the aesthetics of this. But anyway, I'm just saying that's the most common place you see a slotted screw.
Is.
I feel like
now why is that? Why are old screws slotted screws? Okay, like in old door hinges especially. If you're taking apart an old house, which I almost always am, you're gonna find slotted screw heads on the door hinges, and they're gonna be filled with paint. Always, they're gonna be painted over. 10 coats of paint, probably. So, but
not new ones.
But not new. No, new door hinge screws are Phillips head typically. And they're not I've never seen a T25 or any other than Phillips in a new door style screw.
Okay.
And the hinge screws are a very special screw. It's a door hinge screw. You can use other things, but they're very
drywall screw.
Yeah, drywall's good. No, not good. Anyway, you always got to clean out the head of the screw if it's got paint in it, or dirt or sawdust packed in it, right? So some of the struggle is you might be trying to get a screw out of something old that you didn't actually pick the paint out of the head. So, and I think it all comes down to manufacturing. Like back in the day, a slotted screw head is a no-brainer for a screw manufacturer to make or to machine or to stamp in there. A slot is the most basic design that there is. So then they advance to the Phillips head. Well, that's probably a different manufacturing process. And then you get into stuff like T25s or Allen head keys. Like, are they rotary broached? Are they stamped? Are they, I don't know. It's more advanced. It's different than manufacturing. And now we've got every option available, known to man for manufacturing. And they had slotted screwdrivers and things were simpler.
That's right.
It had to do with head depth. You can only get a certain, like a slot, you can only get a certain depth.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
You need more depth for the different types of heads.
Brett's explained the geometry of the depth of the slot in the head and the size of the head. We're going to get Brett a mic. We've been talking about this.
We will.
I was hoping he would forget, and then we didn't have to do it, but he keeps talking and having ideas.
And we keep having to repeat it so you can hear what he's saying.
Yeah, we might.
We're going to have a guest too.
Are we?
At some point. We'll set him right here.
Well, that'd be good. We'll have to get a mic for them anyway. Maybe Brett should be our first guest.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should do that. We could bring in, maybe some of the Perkins Builder Brother crew.
Yeah.
Or we could bring in, I thought maybe actually about some of our other tradespeople. Like a heating and air guy or an electrician or a roofer.
Have Jared from
Arlo would probably love to come on the show.
He would. I mean, Arlo's the biggest request. Come on, I've got a tally somewhere.
Do you?
know,
Big list of people?
You gotta find him. He's
Arlo's
retired.
retired, man.
I know
He's around.
We can find him.
He's
he comes
around.
by the coffee shop.
He's a wealth of knowledge.
Bakery.
Now, this is potentially this is risky.
Yeah.
If we get Arlo on here,
Arlo talk.
we're going to have a signal that means stop talking. I'm going to be Eric and he's going to be me.
We can get the light. We can get a light,
A light.
like a red light,
We're going to do
and it'll.
a Batman signal that means stop. We'll hold right there and we're going to get to another question. The problem is, I've said this before, he's such a wealth of knowledge. He's had so many experiences. He's lived all over the place. He's built everything imaginable, and he's highly talented and skilled. And, you know, he's everybody's dream, like, buddy to hang out with. He's just a great guy. So, you know, I'm sure we can convince him to come up here.
I think that'd be great.
And I don't know. It'd be fun to get a building inspector too. I don't know.
Let's work on that. I think Arlo should be the first guest. Let's
Okay.
work on it.
If
We'll work on it.
there was ever a first person, I think Arlo. He'd be a good one.
The first person.
We're gonna need 4 episodes.
Okay. Well, I got another quick question here from Dredu.
Okay.
I don't know. That's okay.
Sounds
Just go
right.
with it. Are architects not required in the U.S.?
Well, that is a short, sweet question. I mean, I think yes, they are required to design buildings and houses and commercial buildings and all kinds of things.
Right.
But when it comes to what I do, an architect is not required.
For residential home building.
For yes. So like if I draw a plan myself in my house on a piece of paper, I can take it down to the building department and I can apply for a building permit to build that structure. It does not have to be drawn by what was I going to say? An architect, but I was going to say something else, but
A licensed architect.
License.
a licensed architect.
Right.
Okay. Yes. That is not a requirement. You could almost literally draw it on a napkin and submit it. I mean, back in the old days,
Yeah.
when I say that, I mean, before 1990, say,
You're saying the drawing didn't really have to be very detailed.
no, not really.
Yeah.
I mean, back then there was no inspection department at all
Right.
here.
Yeah.
80s. My dad was building in the 80s, and that's the reason I know this. There was not an inspection of any kind. You just build.
Just did it.
And yeah.
Which explains a lot about a lot of the old houses here,
Well,
right?
sure. I mean, back, in still places, I don't know if I told you about my friend that lives out in Texas somewhere. I think there might be counties in every state that simply don't have a code enforcement part of their local government.
Yeah.
I mean, because of lack of population to serve an area or even money just to have a person on staff to provide that service. I don't know if there's any national regulation of any kind to tell states that they need to do. I don't know. I don't know how any of that works. And so there's still places today you can build whatever you want, however you want. And they may, like, for example, some places I'm aware of, they don't have a building code requirement, but if you get it wired, the electrical has to be inspected.
Right.
That might be the only thing as a safety hazard or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. Last question. This is from Tim Strasbaugh. What are your thoughts on these one-day bathroom remodeling businesses? Have you seen these commercials?
I've watched them, and
Changing out your tub and your shower in a day, and
Yeah.
they're going to give you $1,500 off. And
I used to watch TV. Did you know I don't watch TV anymore?
No, I didn't.
I used to watch these commercials for these. It was called Rebath, is the one that I've heard of, and there's
Lots of them now.
There's
they're
probably
like,
a lot.
They're like Dollar Generals. They're
Oh,
everywhere.
okay. What are my thoughts on it? That's the question.
Yeah.
Well, I would say this: I've never had one done on any job of mine. I don't know anybody that's ever had one done. I would say it would be a marvel if they could do what they advertise. Meaning,
fast.
if they could actually roll in and demo your tub and put a new one in a day,
Right.
I would say they're magicians.
And not find water damage or some sort of structural issue that needs to be addressed. That's my catch all the time. I was like, I've never torn apart a bathroom where there wasn't something else that needed to be fixed.
Right. That usually throws a big wrench in the plan, and usually time
Yeah.
and money, of course. And I bet that happens a lot. I bet they have a contract you have to sign that says, if we discover blah, 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 something else is wrong, it's, I don't know. I would say I would bet they are very good at it if that's all they do.
Yeah.
And they've seen 1,000 tear out and redos. I mean, if I could count how many bathrooms or bathtubs that I've torn out and replaced, it would be a small amount. But if they do this every day, all day, they probably almost seen it all.
Yeah.
That's all I know. I mean, it might be a good way if you want a bathroom redone and you don't know anybody, a builder, or you can't get anybody. There's a company that does that. It might be worth a shot. And, they might have streamlined the process so efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
It might be fine.
Yeah.
I wish I had some personal experience to share about it, but I don't.
Yeah.
So,
Jury's still out on that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
So maybe roll the dice, maybe great. Who knows?
Yeah.
That's all I know.
Well, that was the last question, Jamie. That's all I have. I mean, there's more, but we don't have time for more.
Well, there's always more, but I think it's a good time to wrap it up here.
Yeah.
You got anything else you want to say?
No, I look forward to the next one. Getting Arlo around. I don't know that it'll be the next one. We got to work on it. I'm not promising anything.
Okay. I'm going to start warming him up to the idea.
Yeah. Your voice sounds better now.
I think maybe just need to, talk a while.
Yeah, it does sound better.
It's like it's like a greyhound. They're meant to run,
Right.
Is that true? I don't know if that's true.
I don't know.
My voice is just meant to talk.
Yeah.
Transmission.
Yeah. Brett says I'm like a transmission that runs rough, but after you drive it a while, it smooths out.
Mm-hmm.
After you get it repaired for $5,000. All right. Well, that's going to be a wrap for now. So thanks for being with us. I hope you join us next time. And I'm going to encourage you to be curious as always. And if you don't know, just ask.
Yeah.